Hey guys, it's Sam, and today we're gonna do a Q&A slash ask me anything, but this is me going through all of my backlogged Tumblr asks. Well, not all of them. Many of them. As many as I can get through reasonably in this video. So as many of you may know or may not know, Tumblr used to be one of my major platforms that I was on constantly for social media. I really enjoy fandom spaces. I spent a lot of time on Tumblr, but I haven't been on Tumblr in some time because I didn't want to be spoiled for a lot of things that I knew I would probably be spoiled for on Tumblr. Mainly Infinity War, which I still have not seen. So I have not gone on Tumblr. I'm gonna probably see it soon. Maybe I'll do that over the holidays. I don't actually know. I need to catch up on a little bit of Marvel stuff. So there were just things that I was going to be spoiled for, and then once I spent some time away from Tumblr, I realized how much of my time it was sucking up. But I really enjoyed Tumblr as a platform, and one of the things I really liked is that a lot of you interact with me on Tumblr through anonymous messaging or anything like that and ask me questions that you might not feel comfortable asking in a comment, and this ranged from a lot of different things. So I opened Tumblr recently. I don't know why, I think I want to check something fandom related, and noticed that I had a lot of backlogged asks. So I'm going to go through all of them, and these are not going to be in any particular order or around any particular theme because I'm just going to scroll through and answer things as they come up. So there's no way to kind of jump around this video depending on what things you're interested in. It's just kind of going to be a grab bag, and that's what you get with Tumblr asks. So most of these are going to be anonymous because you can ask anonymous questions on Tumblr. If somebody that had a username did ask this question, I'm not going to say their username on here just because it's crossing over. I'm just not going to do that. So for the sake of ease, I'm just going to read through the questions as I see fit and as I would just be answering them on Tumblr if I was on there, which I'm hoping to get back to after I catch up on some things. But it has been kind of freeing to not be in that space. I do enjoy Tumblr though. We'll see what happens with me and Tumblr in the future. Let's get into it. I apologize to anybody that has left me a Tumblr ask and maybe thought that I wasn't responding. I haven't been on there in a very long time. So I'm kind of nervous to open my ask box because I don't know what's going to be in here and what things might refer to, because people might be like, I just saw your newest video and it's from like 6 months ago. We'll see what happens. Have you heard about Tahada Mafi's newest release, A Very Large Expanse of the Sea? I have. It's not a book I'm interested in as it's contemporary. I wanted to be interested in it, but I'm just not. I know that I'm not going to get around to reading it anytime soon. Hi Sam, are you trans? Trans meaning transgender? No, I am not. I identify as female and I use she, her pronouns. I'm wondering if you'll ever do a video about your hair routine. I think I have. I want to say that I've done a video on my hair routine years ago, and I think it was when I had longer hair. Maybe, did I do one? No, because I didn't have a personal channel when I had longer hair, I don't think. So if I haven't done one, I'm totally open to doing one. I have had the same routine for years, so that's kind of why I haven't done it, because I thought that I did a video on it. Apparently I didn't. So yeah, I'm open to doing a hair routine video. I use fairly inexpensive products, and I've used the same thing for years, so totally down. This person marked this with spoilers for the Grisha trilogy, so if you're not want to be spoiled. Yeah, Tumblr questions might have spoilers in them. I'm just gonna throw that out there. On a scale of 0 to Adele's We Could Have Had It All, how bitter are you about Alina ending up with Mal in the Grisha trilogy? We could have had it all. I frequently think that when thinking about that trilogy. I've kind of like, as time has gone on, I've gotten less like super bitter about it as I was when I first read the series, but I'm still like, why though? Like, not that I wanted her to necessarily end up with a Darkling. In an alternate universe, I've talked about this before, in an alternate universe where she embraced her darkness, I would have loved that. But that was never going to happen. So I wanted her to be with Nikolai. I really thought that was going to happen. I was so thrown off, and I still am about the fact that she ended up with Mal. I just didn't think that was going to happen. Have you watched Castlevania on Netflix? Apparently there's a ship on there that's an OT3 dream. I have not. I watched the first episode, and here's something. So when Gerald and I were together, we watched the first episode because we both liked Castlevania. He really wasn't into it. And when he wasn't into something, not that he like affected me in that I was like runaway bride and I would just change my taste based on his, because you guys probably know that I'm not that way, but it would just like ruin it for me, you know? So like, for example, he wasn't really into Star Wars. So I was like, I am not seeing Star Wars with you because your lack of enthusiasm for it is gonna like taint my feelings about it. I think because I have like certain traits that I think I'm like an empath kind of traits, so I feel sort of what other people are kind of feeling, and I'm very affected by other people's emotions. So his like meh about things made it so like I couldn't be as into it. So I'd be willing to try it again. But there were things about it that I found like in the first episode, I think I watched the first maybe 1 or 2 episodes, I found it a little bit cheesy and I wasn't really following like a lot of it. So let me know if it's really, really worth it. like really worth it. I just found it like I don't know. I wasn't believing some of the motivations of the characters in the first few episodes, so we'll see. Who do you like least from the Court of Dreams and why? Maybe Cassian is the least favorite. Maybe. But he's so tied to everyone else that I can't pick like a least favorite, but I guess I'm just less interested in what happens to him. Like, if something bad were to happen to him, I wouldn't be devastated in the way that like the rest of them I'd be devastated about, you know? Have you considered redoing topics like Top 5 Wednesday? They give examples. I have considered redoing some of those topics because obviously there's new things, but at the same time, some of those ones that I've done, they've remained the same. So I don't know, but there's been topics that I have redone for Top 5 Wednesday and brought them back around because they've been older. So I'm always willing to talk about like updated versions of certain things. If there's any that you guys in particular are really looking, like wanting me to do an updated version of, comment down below, let me know. It's almost the new year. Maybe I'll do that. I have been patiently waiting for your return to this beautiful hell we call Tumblr, and I've been meaning to ask. That's how they start this question. I will maybe return like officially, I don't know, but I'm answering your question at least. How invested are you in Reylo? Reylo being Kylo Ren and Rey from the new Star Wars. Because I know you love them, but do you keep up with the fandom, follow fan accounts, or anything like that? I followed stuff on Tumblr. I haven't really followed anything outside of that, but I do get very invested. So like, with like the next Star Wars coming up, I can see myself like falling back into Tumblr's open arms because I do get very invested in the fandom side of things. Like mostly fan art. I don't read a lot of fan fiction. I read like some one-shots and stuff. I've talked about this before, but I don't do a lot of like longer fan fiction or anything like that. But like fan art and theories and stuff like that I get very into with Reylo and any of my ships and fandoms. Have you ever played any of the Kingdom Hearts games? One of the newer ones is coming out in January, Kingdom Hearts 3. I have not played Kingdom Hearts, but I figured I would like it. It's one of those games that's like, I should have played this. Why haven't I played this? You know, like there's a lot of like crossover characters and stuff like that. So I might, do you have to go back and play the old games? Because I don't think I want to do that. And it does take a long time for the new game to come out. People have been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 for years. I think that's also why I've avoided it, because it's one of those things where it's like, I can't wait that long between games. I already have BioWare hurting my heart. I can't do this. So yeah, that's why I've always kind of avoided Kingdom Hearts, I guess. Did you hear the news about the Truth Wish TV adaptation coming? I always kind of pay attention to adaptations being talked about, but until there's like full-blown casting, like everything is optioned. You know, everything is optioned to maybe be a TV show or a movie. So until I hear like full-blown things, I don't get very excited. Like 2 or 3 years ago, we heard about the Shatter Me TV stuff, and as of the filming of this video, we don't have any announcements of casting or when it's gonna get released, so I'm kind of like, until I see stuff, I'm not getting excited. I feel like I'm super late to the party, but what are your thoughts on the Throne of Glass series? I have a whole tag on Tumblr about Throne of Glass, so if you want to go to my Tumblr and search TOG, because I think, tagged it Throne of Glass, then you can see my thoughts. Also, I think if you type in SJM for Sarah J. Maas, you can also see my thoughts. But I think it's overrated. I read the first 3 books, liked them, was planning on continuing, and then like lost interest, and then started hearing like pretty things about the series, and I just like, I don't care anymore. I don't viscerally hate it by any means. I think for a while that people thought that I was like viscerally hating it. Like, no, I hated the fandom and how the fandom was like, this is the best thing ever! But like, I don't hate the actual series, like, but I just don't care. I just don't care. Someone asked about Emma Approved. This was before Emma Approved came back in October after I talked about wanting a Persuasion retelling from Pemberley Digital, and then they came back. So I haven't been watching the new Emma Approves because I'm waiting for all of them to come out and then I'll binge watch them. I've only ever watched Pemberley Digital stuff, binge watching it. So I can't sit there and only watch like a 4 or 5 minute video and then have to wait a week. Absolutely not. They do too many cliffhangers for that. I am not spending my time stressing out in that way. I get this question all the time on every social media about have I read Lore Olympus or have I heard of it? I've heard of it. I plan on reading it. It's still being released. I kind of want to just wait until it's all released. Of course I've heard of it. It's a Hades Persephone like story. Of course I've heard of it. I'm gonna ingest it at some point, inhale it at some point. I just haven't yet, and I also just don't have the time right now to get so fully wrapped in something, and I feel like that would happen if I started reading it. But literally, I get messages almost daily about Lore Olympus. Yes, I know, BBs. Thank you for looking out for me, but I know. Someone asked about the Mistborn trilogy and the religious stuff in it because they are Muslim, and they said that they might be uncomfortable reading things that have like a celestial being or something along those lines. So it's not a religion like that, but there is still going to be that kind of undertone to Western religion. So if any Western religion does kind of affect you, you might not want to read it. I really like seeing any kind of religion in my fantasy, so I really enjoy it. And it's been a long time since I've read it, so I'm not thinking of like exactly, like it's not celestial being type religion, but there's a lot of like prophecy, and the way that that religion is set up kind of mirrors a lot of things about like the Christian church, I think. So if you're at all bothered by that, you might be bothered by it. But it's definitely not like Christianity, but there's things about it that like feel Western religion. What are your top 5 powers, like magical abilities, you want to see more of in fantasy books? I always am down for necromancy. Always. Lightning, electrical abilities of any kind, I love. Electrical abilities are my favorite kind of magical ability, actually. I've had like RPGs that I play that are like, my character always has like electrical magic. Whenever I play video games that have magic, my character is usually a mage that has electrical abilities of some kind. Chain lightning is like my jam. I just love it. On a similar note, I really do enjoy like weather control. It's not always done very well. I like weather control the way that like Storm does it, and I feel like in some fantasies it's not done super well, but I like that. But those are my top 3. I don't really have a top 5. So I'm not sure I care. I really like nature magic in general, but I don't have a specific about that. So I guess that'd be 4. And then, yeah, really different forms of necromancy, because I'm just thinking like spirit magic, anything with like auras, like all of that kind of stuff I really enjoy. Have you, or do you plan on watching the Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star series? I don't plan on it. I might at some point, but at this point it's like, no, I'm sure it's interesting. I don't want to support Jeffree Star anymore, and I haven't for years now, but I still have his lipsticks from when I bought them before all of the stuff came out about him being a complete trash can. But yeah, I feel like it was done for a specific reason, to like help his image, and he should be helping his image by not doing the things that he chooses to do repeatedly over the years. You know? I get this question a lot also. How important is it, or worth it is it, to read the Grisha trilogy before the Six of Crows duology? So you don't technically have to, and Lee is very adamant about saying that you don't technically have to. I think she also knows that more people are likely to read Six of Crows, especially if they don't have to read the Grisha trilogy, and that it's the more universally popular series. So whatever. I think you should just read it before. I think there's a lot of things, especially in book 2 of the Six of Crows in Crooked Kingdom, that if you don't read the Grisha trilogy, you're going to be like, I don't care as much. Like, there's more investment on multiple levels and more hints and Easter eggs. Like, but it's not even just Easter eggs. There's straight up characters that show up from the Grisha trilogy that you're not going to really care about if you haven't read the Grisha trilogy. So I always recommend you just try to read it. Unless you like, there's nothing about it that you're interested in, you will never read it, then just fine, then do Six of Crows and whatever. But like, if you even slightly want to read the Grisha trilogy or try it out, just do it. And they're not that long, and you can fly through them even if you hate them. I just think it's worth it for a lot of the side characters in the world building and stuff like that. Somebody asked if I'd be interested in making a video on Reylo Star Wars and just having like a chatty discussion, get ready with me. Like, I want to so bad, but the thing is, and I might after the last movie, but the Star Wars fandom and the people, like, they are just, they're nasty, you guys. Like, it's nasty, and I just don't want to have to monitor my comments or get troll comments or get a bunch of dudes. Here's the thing, I don't want a bunch of dudes up in my business, up my ass about my opinions and calling me a fake fan, and I don't, like, do you see how angry I'm already getting? I don't want to deal with that crap. So as much as I want to share my love, I really only tend to share it on like Instagram stories. It was a Snapchat story the last time because that's when I was still using Snapchat before it died. And like, I just don't want to deal with the crap from the fandom. Like people fighting my videos and just being shitty. So yes, no, maybe, I don't know. There's a question in here about, have I read Nevernight and do I plan to? Help me. More questions about Reylo, oh my god. So, huge Reylo shipper, do you think that they will be canon? I think so, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up, but like, I think it's headed that way. But like, I've been burned before. But I do want it. Like, there's so many things. I wouldn't mind her going like a little dark side. I wouldn't mind a redemption arc, but I don't know how they do that. Like, well, you know, like I trust it because it's Star Wars and Star Wars does redemption arcs well, but like, I don't want to get my hopes up, but like, I think this, they fought back to back in the last movie, guys. I think it's going that way. I hope. Do you have a P.O. box? I don't, but I've been thinking about getting one. Would you guys be interested in me having a P.O. box? Basically, like, I don't know I don't know. I don't even know where my nearest post office is. I've never driven by the post office up here since I've moved like a month and a half ago, almost 2 months ago. So I don't know where my post office is and if it'd be easy to get to, but I've always liked the idea of having a P.O. box. Let me know your thoughts. I'm getting a PS4 this weekend, and can you recommend me some games? I've done a video recently on games that I personally want to play, but I think I've also done a video on my favorite video games, which I will link in a card if that's the case. Oh, Lila Bard. I've seen a lot of discussion about Lila Bard's character saying that a lot of her inner monologues about not being like other girls is a result of being genderqueer, which V.E. Schwab has confirmed that she is, and separating herself from the area she feels trapped in by being assumed a girl in that time period. What are your thoughts on this? I think that she was kind of like retroactively told to be genderqueer, so that's a little like, I don't really see that as being something on the page, so I think it's kind of a weak excuse. And even if you're genderqueer, you don't need to hate women. You know? So that whole like, oh, it's not really a good excuse. Like this whole I'm not like other, no. It can be done better. And I still don't like her I'm not like other girls monologues, or I don't like other women, or I'm not friends with other women, or women in general. Even if she's genderqueer, or they're genderqueer, even though Schwab uses she, her pronouns. So like, what are you doing? But anyway, even if they're genderqueer, they still shouldn't hate women, and they should still have female friends and value female relationships. So the whole genderqueer excuse, I think, is shit. I don't like her character. Except for Hades and Persephone, do you have any other romantic pairs that you like? Romeo and Juliet would be at the bottom for me. People who've read the book would know why. Any other like traditional romantic pairs that I like? So other couples that are like more traditional classical, I guess, also mythology based, I do like Ares and Aphrodite, even though like they're also very problematic. But there's something I like about them, like god of war with like goddess of love and things. Like it's a dynamic that I appreciate for some reason. And as far as like classical couples, I don't know. I mean, I'm very like typical and that I like Darcy and Lizzie is one of my favorites, and that kind of like archetype. I do tend to like a lot of the like gothic romance type couples and stuff like that, but again, I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but I know that there are some. I'm just sitting here like completely blanking on them. Do you think you could make a discussion video covering stuff about books that are problematic romantically? I think so. Someone said that they liked me talking about how I identify problematic behavior and that I'm always good with heavy topics. Things like that are hard, and they're just sometimes when I don't have the bandwidth emotionally, I don't like making some of these kind of more discussion-y videos. And hopefully things about my schedule are changing that will probably allow me to have more of that bandwidth and make more of those videos, because they're some of my favorite ones to make. But you do tend to have to defend those things a lot, and when you don't have the emotional bandwidth, that can be challenging. So yeah, it just makes your comments a little bit more of a minefield, but I'm definitely willing to talk about it when I have the emotional bandwidth to talk about it. Is there any romantic element in Red Sister? Yes. It's very lit on the romance, but some of the lady nuns love each other. It's a thing. So it's a little bit more of a thing in Grey Sister, but it's there. It's very, very small percentage, but it's there. Someone asked if I've ever watched Heathers and if I like it. I have never watched it, but I know it's one of those things that I would like if I watched it. And I should have watched it. And I haven't. When you post a video dedicated to just one book for a review, how do you choose which book out of all the ones you've read that month to have its own review video? That's interesting. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. If it's a Patreon book pick, it gets a review video, so that's kind of standard. But otherwise, I usually pick books that I have a strong emotional feeling about, or books, like if I'm not reading a lot, then like every book gets a book review. But if I'm reading a lot and I have to actually pick, I pick ones that I'm having a stronger reaction to, so I have more to talk about, or because usually it's the same, books that people have requested of me, or books that have been out for a while, like more backlisted books or highly anticipated books or whatever, books that are going to get more of a discussion. Because obviously most people know that review videos, standalone review videos, don't get as many views as other videos, but they are a little bit more time intensive, so you kind of want the payoff of people to discuss with you as much as possible. And I do tend to get a lot of discussion comments on my review videos, but I tend to pick things that I've had a strong reaction to and that other people have also probably had a strong reaction to, or is anticipated, or has a big fandom, something like that. Does the Queen of the Tearling have an angsty romance or romance at all? I just made a video about angsty romances and I didn't include the Queen of the Tearling, but I almost did. There is an element, there's a pairing, but I don't know how much it's going to be in like the last book. I need to read the last book and kind of see how that all plays out, but it's a very, very, very small. It's not in the first book. It's a little bit in the second book. And I don't know how it's all going to pan out. So I wouldn't read the books for the romance because it's barely in there. But if you want to read the books, and like having an angsty romance is like a very small side plot also adds to your enjoyment of it, that's a plus. Someone asked if I've read the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I haven't. I've been intrigued by it. It's one of those series that like I see around and I kind of want to read. I can see it being like a Halloween read maybe. I don't know. Someone asked if I've ever thought about reviewing TV shows. I haven't been watching TV, so I haven't thought about reviewing a TV show at all. But maybe if I got back into TV, I could do that. How do you even review TV shows? I know people do like episode by episode. That's just very intense. And I don't even know what shows I would do that for. Would it be for backlisted shows? Would that only be good for new shows? I don't even know how I would do that. I'm open to it if you have suggestions or ways to do that effectively or examples of people who do that well. Let me know. Because if I got back into TV, I might consider it. Ooh, someone asked about Assassin's Creed. They found out from a video that I liked it. Which game storylines do you like in it, and do you like Desmond? Desmond is kind of that like annoying presence in the game, so like I don't really like him. I never really bonded with Desmond, but my favorite of all the games. So I love the 2 trilogy, and Ezio Auditore is my son, and I love him so much. So he was the protagonist that I bonded to the most. I tend to like all the protagonists for the most part, but he's the one I bonded to the most. And then the second one would have been Black Flag and Edward Kenway, although that feels like a totally different game. That wasn't quite an Assassin's Creed game, but it's still like, it's so good. I liked Evie more than Jacob in Syndicate, and then I haven't played since Syndicate because I need to catch up. You guys have watched my game video probably, so you'll have seen that. So I don't know about the protagonists of Origins or Odyssey and how I feel about them, but those are my favorite storylines. I liked Syndicate. It's probably like my second from those, but the 2 trilogy was great because you were connected to him and you had him for his entire life. I have so many emotions about like Ezio's story, and it just makes me very, I have feelings. But him and then Edward Kenway were my 2 favorites, and I felt emotional about the things that happened to them in both of those games, so those are my 2. So we'll see how I feel about Odyssey and Origins. Someone asked if I've watched Infinity War. No, that's why I haven't been on Tumblr. I was just wondering if you ever continued on with the Demon King series and if you're planning to. I have not yet. I do want to. It's not a series, like, here's the thing that I tell a lot of people about, like, continuing series. If I don't own the next book in the series, like, currently, it's not a huge motivation for me right now because I'm trying to pare down my TBR. So, unless I were to get the second book as a gift, because most of my books I get as gifts now, I'm not actively going out and buying books because I have plenty of things I want to read. 2019 is going to be a year of taking down my TBR. I'll be talking about that more in the future, so if you're wanting to hear about all of that, I have a lot of plans for my TBR because I think I'm going to have a lot more time to read and just get that completely down to a manageable level. So yeah, then I'll be able to kind of tackle some of these series by like myself buying like the rest of the books in the series and binging them and stuff like that. But I have forgotten a lot of things about the first book, but I don't think I want to go back and reread it at this point because it just was kind of for me. But I do remember a lot of things, like important plot points about it, and the fact that there is a Princess and the Guard romance potential plotline that got stored up here. I remember that because I enjoy that. So I think I want to continue with the series at some point. Someone asked if I've ever heard or read the Queens of Renthia series, and I have, and I really want to start it. I own the 3rd book because the publisher sent me the 3rd book when it got released, but I need the first 2. So I asked for the first one for Christmas. Someone said that they enjoy my taste in video games and books, and that they were curious about my taste in music and what are some of my favorite songs, albums, and singers. I've talked briefly about some of my favorite music and stuff. My favorite band currently, and has been for some time, is Paris. I also really enjoy Dorothy, Digital Daggers. There's a new guy that I've recently discovered whose name I will look up now on Spotify. Zayd Wolf, I think is how you pronounce it. I also really like the X Ambassadors, I think. And I like older Halsey, you know, like that one album that came out was a Badlands that like everyone loved. I really like older Halsey. I like Fall Out Boy, some 21 Pilots. But those are some of the big ones. I usually just do playlists and like find artists and like single songs from Spotify and the like made for you playlists and then discover new music through there. But I don't usually go through and then listen to someone's whole album. I just keep the songs that I really like on certain playlists that have like a similar vibe to them. Someone asked if I've ever watched Gallivant, and I haven't. I don't watch a lot of comedy TV. It makes me uncomfortable sometimes, and like any awkwardness and stuff. Like I've watched a lot of The Office and I've never finished it because it just makes me uncomfortable. A lot of comedy just, I don't know, there's something about it, and I don't know if I should watch it, you know, but I'm just like, maybe that'd be fun and lighthearted, but I never really gravitate towards comedy. I gravitate towards darkness. Someone asked if I'm going to continue with the Shatter Me series, and I am. I just want to reread at least Unravel Me and Ignite Me again, just to get like back in the feels, and then read Restore Me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna read it, but I do plan on it. I just like, I'm not in a hurry, even though I own it. I'm just not. I got a lot of questions on if I found my perfect Hades and Persephone book, and no, I haven't. And when I do, believe me, I will tell you guys. I'll be doing a whole video about like my recommendations once I have enough that I feel like actually fall in line with the things that I want with Hades and Persephone, but I have yet to find those things. I know, it's tragic. Someone asked if I have any fictional female crushes, and like, yes. And I don't know if I can sit here and name all of them because I have so many. Right now, Marjorie Tyrell is the one that's popping up the most. I think because the actress that plays her is Natalie Dormer, is like someone I have legitimate romantic feelings for, and I just would love to be married to. But there's so many, and that would just take a long time. Any professional advice on how to cope with finishing playing Mass Effect? No. Replay it, which is what I do. I just replay it. And with Mass Effect, I don't change any decisions. Like, I never create like a new Shepard who does new things. No, I do the same thing over and over. I never replay games. I never reread books. You guys know I don't do this. I've replayed that series like at least 3 times. I think I'm on my 4th playthrough right now. And I do the same thing because that's what I want to do. I always, like, not always, I sometimes will think like maybe this time I'll change. No. I know what I want, I know what I want to see, I know what I want to do. Replay it. Also listen to the soundtrack while you're walking your dog and cry, like I do, sometimes. I see that you finished the Raven Cycle, but have you heard the sequel series featuring a street racing girl gang? Is that true? Is the other, I thought she was writing something about like Ronin. Is there gonna be more with like a street racing female girl gang? Because if there is, I'm gonna be so excited. That's all I would want. Is that real? Is that real? Is it real? Is it real? Someone said they're just getting into requesting arcs from publishers. If they receive one, should I email back a thank you or would that be seen as odd? I think emailing them your review when you read it is pretty standard procedure, and saying thank you at that point would be good. Someone wrote me a Hades and Persephone coffee shop alternate universe like months ago, and they tagged me in it, and I have to try to find it. Crap. If you were this person, Kate, can you, if I can't find your tag and you're watching this video, can you email it to me or something? Like email me the link. I don't know if I'm able to find it. Shit. Any tips on getting through massive books? Participate in a tome topple. Besides that, just like reading every day and setting a timer, I think is just really helpful to get through them. Like, and once you get like halfway through, it's all downhill from there really. But I just find being consistent with it and not letting the largeness of it intimidate you is what you gotta do. Okay, my camera is running out of video, so I think that's a sign that I have to stop this. But thank you to everybody who has sent me asks on Tumblr because I do really appreciate it. I don't know if I'm going to be returning and when, so if you send me something on Tumblr and I don't respond, it's because I'm not on it. I've caught up at least slightly. I feel a little less bad about some of my asks just sitting in there, but I still feel really bad. Like I wish I could respond to every single one, honestly, because like I typically did when I got Tumblr asks, but like I can't. There's so much now. I went all the way back as people were talking about books that were coming out in July, so obviously before July, so I've gone back at least like 6 months with my asks, so that's gonna have to be sufficient. I'm so sorry. But I hope you guys enjoyed that and that it kind of caught you up on some of my like sort of Q&A type stuff. So yeah. So thank you all for watching and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.